Welcome everyone to the 49th Brca Agm. This is our first online and anything could happen. Housekeeping. Please ensure you know where your own fire exits are and your smoke alarms are tested and working. The time is 11 o'clock and let's get started with probably the shortest Brca Agm in history. Apologies. None received, so we assume you're all watching at home. Now might be a good time to apologise for any issues in the next hour. Doing this is all new to us, and this live stream is our practice run and finished production. 1 minute silence to remember those no longer with us. Before we do, I have a few words to say about the passing of one of our fellow officers, Mick Hill. Mick was a big man, not only in stature, but in his passion for the Brca and then later Efra. Mick was a no-nonsense force within the RC community and was known throughout the international scene as a person that would step up to help or advise at any event when any problem arose. Whilst the main interest for Mick was within the 1/8 Rallycross section, as secretary of the Brca, he dealt with all sections of our sport, and his knowledge of how the sections operated was immense, with his knowledge of the persons and officials throughout the Brca sections. Mick always put the well-being of the Brca as his top priority and was never afraid to read the riot act if any area within the sport was stepping out of line. Given his drive and passion for RC sport, his endeavours in the early years resulted in the standards of all classes improving. His advice in all areas of the sport was always appreciated. His wife Janet helped Mick in all of his interests and supported him 100%, especially from when he was no longer to drive himself. They were a team. Now let's take a minute to remember Mick and all the other members who have fallen. Minutes of the 2019 AGM. These have been published on the Brca website for some time now and we've received no matters arising. Given this, we're considering the minutes accepted. COVID-19 and racing will be presented by Jim Spencer.
I think it's fair to say that we've all had a really interesting last 6 months or so. Certainly the workings of the association have been very different and unusually very visible. What you've seen from the club perspective and the member perspective is actually, in a way, the normal workings of the association. This is what the association exists to do, keep our sport working. It's just that in normal years, most of that happens behind the scenes and people are tucked away and we just get things sorted and resolved and you guys find a little snippet lands on your doormat, maybe something like a new risk assessment arrives. This year has been very different. The association and its officers have worked really hard, taking information from the Department for Culture, Media and Sport, Sport England, and then Motorsport UK, and going through all that information and getting it out to you guys so you can race. And the first thing to say is, well done. The clubs, or certainly the vast majority of the clubs, have done a brilliant job. Everybody's pulled together and got themselves out there racing in a safe environment, and for that the sport owes you guys a real debt of gratitude, because it's only by you guys following the regulations that we get issued with that we can all do some more racing. We've had to learn a lot of lessons from it. How we distribute information to the clubs, that's worked. How we distribute information to the members has generally worked. How we distribute information amongst ourselves, that's been a struggle, because we've not had to do it like this before. It's been a learning curve virtually a learning wall for everybody. But we're getting through it, we're keeping going. There's more to come, so keep looking at what we send you, keep on following it, and keep on reminding each other. Nobody wants to get upset with everybody because everybody's trying really, really hard to keep each other safe. And the best way of doing that is just remind your fellow racers. If you see people doing something wrong, just give them a nudge, because we all forget. We all need that nudge every now and again. Any questions from any of this, by all means, just fire it in via contact us on the BRCA website, and we will do our very best to get it back out to you. As more information becomes available, we'll get it out very shortly, and certainly sometime today, we'll be going through the information for Scotland that's going to change shortly, and updating the website to reflect what's happened in Wales over the last day or so. And also the Tier 3 regulation will be relaxed ever so slightly in line with the changes made in Merseyside in the last few days. Thanks very much.
Thank you, Jim. Officers report. Okay, we'll start with the chairman. That's me. Hello everyone, my name is Darren Newton. I'm the BRCA chairman, and I've been racing since the early 90s. I've raced many championships, I've raced many classes and won the odd championship for my troubles. For my day job, I fix and maintain industrial cleaning equipment. This year has been my first year as BRCA chairman. I was previously secretary for 5 years. It started with a massive bang with the 12th World gig at Milton Keynes. I then got to hear all the exciting plans that the sections had made for the year, and I had planned to visit as many as possible. However, the Rona put stop to that. I'm pleased that during these hard times, clubs and some of the sections have found their way back to racing and are able to keep the sport active, even if it's different than it was. We carried out a survey earlier on in the year with roughly 760 racers taking part, and we got some great feedback, which is very valuable to us. The feedback was, in summary, keep up the good work over COVID, more newbie RC information on the website, less use of Facebook and social media for association matters, and more centralised information on the association website. It was our first go at a survey, and it wasn't perfect. However, we'll be doing this again with more linked questions. Overall, we were rated an 8. Whatever that means, I have no idea, but the closer to 10 it was, the better. Using the feedback, we have made a new website, which will be live in a few weeks, which is more newbie focused, with improved navigation to help you find what you want. This is just an overview of the website, just very quickly, just give you an idea what it looks like, to show you that we have put the hard work in and it's ready to go. Okay, Treasurer, Jim Spencer.
Okay, I'm Jim Spencer, Treasurer of the Association, and also Section Treasurer of 12th Circuit, which I've been racing now for 38 years, believe it or not. My local club is Crewe, and my day job is I work for a company that manufactures industrial X-ray equipment, which is interesting. I'll just quickly go through the accounts this year. I appreciate that we can't do questions off the floor, but we'll put a report onto the computer screen so you can see it now. And I'll quickly run through it so you can see how this year has changed. The weird bit about this year is obviously the first 5 or 6 months of it were absolutely fantastic. We were having a brilliant time over the winter. We ran some really, really good events that you'll see in the PR fund a little bit when we get to that bit. And it built and built and built, and we went to the 12 Scale World Championships in January and had an absolutely astonishing time. It was quite an event, really was. And in a way, the accounts reflect that. So starting with the subscriptions, £126,000 worth of subscriptions, which is only 6.7% down on last year. So it shows the start we had to the year, because as you can imagine, the last 6 months have been pretty thin. But the start of the year was really good. And again, the way the association operates, and it is reflected in the way the expenses are. So you'd expect to see a big drop in our expenses, but in reality, it doesn't really work like that, because the management of the sport and keeping everybody informed and keeping everybody insured, that costs the same irrespective of what we're doing. So the insurance bill, same as normal, spot on to budget. Executive expenses have dropped quite considerably, but that's only in the last 6 months, and we've actually moved costs from physical appearances to online appearances. So the exec expenses have dropped a bit. AGM expenses from last year, on budget. Our paid help, on budget. Stationery and admin equipment, on budget. Systems fees, rent, post and packaging, expert cost developing the website, all pretty much what we would normally expect. Obviously, we've not purchased any race numbers because we've got a massive stock. Obviously, sales are quite lower race numbers because we've not been doing a lot of racing. We updated some of the association's owned timing equipment over the winter months. And we bought a great big pile of officials and PR clothing for the big events we were doing over the winter, culminating in the World Championships. And we've printed the handbooks and your section handbooks as well, because whatever racing we're going to do, we need the rules. The handbook we have to send out, and you'll perhaps see that next year, and it's that some of the section booklets will be carried over for another 12 months because nothing's changed. Section expenses for Efra, lots of zeros in this, and that's deliberate because it's a very, very unusual Efra account. Because generally speaking, the costs of sending the Efra reps to the AGM, which you'll see on the right-hand side of £4,000, part of that gets absorbed by the fees the Efra drivers pay. This year that hasn't happened because all we've had is the 12th Circuit Worlds, which is an IFMAR event, so that just goes through the books net, and there's a 10th off road fee, but that was from the very end of 2019 where one of their meetings fell over the year end. So big chunk of money goes out to Efra, and there's been no meetings run where the entry fees and Efra licence fees would absorb it. Sundries are sundries, nothing out of the ordinary there. PR spend, roughly in line with what we would normally spend in a year, but for one very specific reason. So I've left it like we would normally display it. So we bought a pile of display equipment and materials to get ourselves ready for the winter months, and that went through the winter. The van is the van. But then you've got Milton Keynes, Peterborough and MK Innovates, which are the events we did over the winter months. And those events happened, and they were really good events. I went to 2 of those events, MK Innovates and obviously Milton Keynes for the Worlds. And MK, particularly the Worlds, we've all seen that. We've all seen the video clips for that. Fantastic. MK Innovates, STEM event, epic. Brilliant event to be at. Lots of fun. Lots of networking as well. Really good event. And I know the Peterborough event went really well. School visits program over the winter, that was really working well. Getting lots of good feedback, lots of engagement. But of course that's kind of stopped. But then what we did, you would normally see then all the summer events listed in the same category. Haven't been able to do that, but what we have done is taken that budget and poured it into supporting the clubs. Clubs that have been really up against it, had a real problem. When a club has come to us and said, we need your help, we have been able to support every club that's asked. And we hope to continue to do so. And section expenses are what they are. The sections that have run have got slightly more expenses, and the sections that haven't run haven't. And if we'll scroll down to the next little bit, and this is where it all goes interesting, because obviously our income from the membership covered our operating costs. That's fine, not a problem at all. Sections, this looks a little bit terrible. Could we just scroll down a little bit more, please? Perfect. As you can see, the sections have taken a really big hit. £18,976 down across the sections. Looks terrible, in reality isn't. 12th Circuit section have taken a hit. Some of that is still due back because the big cost there was the IFMAR event, and we get the deposits back when Efra and then IFMAR have their winter get together. So we get some funds back there. And a lot of the other sections, 10th off road, looks like they've had a massive hit. No. What they've been doing, they loaned £3,000 to a club, which is really nice to see. Excellent to see club development going on. And they've been supporting other clubs and activities, and also in 10th off road, that large payment that we saw from the international funds in Efra, you've got the flip side of it here. Touring cars, again, supporting the clubs well. Large-scale off-road supporting the clubs. Rallycross supporting the clubs. And some of that is indeed prepayments for next season. So we'll see, hopefully, the flip side of that when we get into the following year. But it's still got to be funded. And if we can go on to the next page, please, sir. And this is the funds. What you see there, that's the summary of the sections that bank internally. None of them owe us any money, but they've all got funds in the bank. So 12th Circuit, 8th, 10th IC, bikes, truggy, the Formula 1 stock cars and the club sport have all got a bit of funds tucked away. Very nice to see. And if we can scroll down to the very last page, we'll come to the end of it all, and that's the financial summary. So we started the year, the entire association, all of it, because it's one association, we started the year when we were worth £175,000. As you saw, operationally, day-to-day costs, we made, there was £3,000 surplus. Sections took a rather large hit. So overall, the association value has dropped by £15,289. On the flip side, you'll see where that money is. So current account, subscriptions, deposit account is around about 114,000. And the balance is held by the sections that bank externally. 10th off-road, 8th rallycross, touring cars, large-scale stock cars and F2. So we've got about £104,000 in the association funds, of which 17,700 is the sections that bank internally, which sounds like a huge amount of money. Now, I'll just explain why it's not. So that draws the accounts itself to the end. Normally at this point, I'd ask questions, and always ask questions about what we're going to do with that money. Well, the association isn't a linear business. So we've got to survive the next 2 or 3 months over the winter until the membership fees start coming back in. But we also use those funds. The funds work hard for living. And one of the things we want to do over this AGM and certainly early into next year is expand what we do to support the clubs. So the internal loan scheme that we've had for years and years and years, where we've loaned money to sections, that's being rolled out to our member clubs. And also, of course, we've got to survive into next year. So it's going to be an interesting winter. So far, the accounts have held up well. Sections are holding up well. We've been able to support the clubs that have needed the support. It's how we do that going forwards. We don't want to sit here and propose a membership fee increase. It wouldn't be appropriate. But what you guys do next determines what the association can do going forward. So we've worked really, really hard to keep the sport alive over the last 6 months or so. We can keep the sport alive over the winter, but we need your support when the membership renewals come out to allow us to continue to do that. We don't want anybody to put their hands any deeper into the pocket, but we do want you to rejoin. We hear all too often where people think that you join the BRCA because you get a license that allows you to go racing. That's fine, but really we join the BRCA so the sport can exist. That's what the association's here to do, and we need your help by simply joining next year to allow us to continue to do it. As I say, normally there'd be loads of questions, or occasionally 1 or 2. This year, can't really do that. So what I'm going to suggest at this point is, if you've got any questions, fire the questions across via Contact Us. I'll do a summary of the accounts and post that online with probably a slightly more graphical nature to it, a few pie charts, and so you can illustrate what it's been like compared to previous years. I'll get that online together with any questions and my answers, and we'll do that treat that as a summary of the accounts. And I think that's me done on this bit. Thank you.
Okay, so we're now Secretary's report. Chris Jeffrey.
Hi there and good morning. My name is Chris Jeffrey. I'm currently the race director for the Chuggy section, and for the past 12 months I have been the BRCA main secretary. This year has been quite difficult in a way for myself because it has been a quite steep learning curve because I've obviously had to do a lot more. And then obviously COVID-19 hit, so we had to sort of think on our feet a little bit more as well. But I hope I've done a good job for you all so far. And I do apologise for my terrible spelling and grammar. And I would look forward to seeing you all trackside either later on in the winter time or next year. And that's all from me, thank you.
Okay, so the next report is from John Russell. John has decided to send his report in written, obviously because of COVID. For those that don't know, actually, normally our AGM would have a table with all of us on it, and we would all give our reports directly to the room. But because of the situation we're in with limited numbers, there's only the three of us here and a man with a camera to do this. So our reports are either been sent in by writing or you'll see some have been done by video. Okay, so Vice Chairman, John Russell, in my best John Russell voice. In January, I attended and supported the 1/12 World Championship of 2020 at Milton Keynes. What a super start for 2020. After that, it all got very difficult, uncertain what we were going to do and would we all be able to race our model cars again this year. March came and we were all locked down with no racing allowed. Moving on to April, I was asked by two sections if I could help get some safe format of racing going for later on in the year. Working with the two section committees, we planned two British Open series of races at 6 tracks. The main aims of the series was to firstly provide the tracks with much needed income and secondly to provide a safe race event for our drivers. We are now in October and starting to look forward to 2021. Evaluate the risk, enforce the rules and enjoy the racing. For the past 12 months, it has been very difficult for us all and the next 12 months may not get any easier. Thanks for the excellent work for both the executive and the section officers have done during 2020. Okay, that's the end of John's report. We've now got Chief Timekeeper, which is Darren Worth, and that is a video that will be streamed now.
Good morning all. For those who have not been to a previous AGM, my name is Darren Worth, and I was appointed the BRCA Chief Timekeeper at last year's meeting, taking over from Gareth Bevins, who will be an extremely hard act to follow. It is with great regret that for me to fulfil the duties of this new role, I have had to stand down from the chairmanship of the large-scale off-road section, having served various roles within that section over the last 15 years. I wish the section well for its future, and I hope that the growth in its popularity continues once we are back racing once again. Like you have heard, my first year in the role was a baptism of fire, having to prepare for the 1/12 Worlds meeting in Milton Keynes, just a couple of months into the role. I thank Jim Spencer and the 1/12 section for putting up with my questions, and to my wife who came home various times over the festive season to the sound of an RC meeting running throughout our house. Despite a couple of technical glitches, I can report that the event was a great success, started on time and finished on time. So it was a great start to 2020. Moving into February, I resolved various technical issues with the association's results server and visited the Haddon Club in Colville. In March, I prepared the results server for the section's race season, and unfortunately it all came to a stop when the COVID pandemic came. My focus, like other senior members of the association, was on the support and getting through the pandemic, and I've lost count on the number of Skype meetings I've sat through working with Jim, Darren and others to get us all back up and running and back safely on the track. So my role as timekeeper this year has involved not only a big meeting, supporting sections, clubs and answering any time questions raised via the help desk system, but also getting you all back on track. I am proud to have been involved behind the scenes and seeing how the association and our membership have adapted to the new ways of racing. Before I finish, I would just like to take this opportunity as a club chairman to thank the association for its efforts in enabling us all to get back racing. To all our members, can I ask that you follow the guidance issued so our sport can continue safely? And if you want your local club, national venue to still be there once we come through the pandemic, then please show them your support by visiting them now or helping them to survive. Take it from me, it's extremely challenging for any club at the moment, and the only way we will survive is by you, the racers, supporting us. If not, then I can see a few of the clubs that we have affiliated to us disappearing, unfortunately. I wish you all well, and can I be the first to wish you a fantastic 2021 race season. Goodbye.
Okay. Thank you very much, Darren, for your report. Now the editor's report by Pete Winton that's been sent in. What an odd year. It all started well, and several sections produced printed handbooks and had them delivered when then the lockdown came. Every section has produced a handbook this year. Well done, and thank you to you all. They are online on the website. We also produced our biennial update to the Go Racing booklet, and have held off printing that until our publicity bandwagon swings into action again. The members' handbook was completed, printed and sent out. Meetings are in place for all sections to get the handbook information up to date for 2021, although what we do about printing for our members this year is yet to be decided. Please all help your sections to complete its handbook. Just ask to see what you can do. I'm retiring from this role. It's been 5 great years and 70 plus wonderful handbooks working with you all. It's time for a break, and also I feel time for someone to take the reins and move the ideas on from here. I will be around this year to help whoever takes the role to get settled in, and to get to know the excellent team of designers and printer who make all this real. Thanks to you all. See you around. And from a note from the chairman, I'd just like to say thank you very much, Peter, for all your hard work. You introduced the New Look handbook for us all. I'm not going to zoom in, but New Look handbook. And it's been fantastic, the work that you've done. Okay, next, Membership Officer, Help Desk Coordinator, Mark Christopher. We'll cut to his video now.
Hi there, Mark Christopher, BRCA Help Desk Coordinator and Acting Membership Officer. As you may imagine, the majority of tickets this year through the contact system have been related to the COVID. We've been able to manage most of these, in fact all of these, pretty well. The clubs and venues have all benefited from that. We've been able to get a lot of clubs up and running. If you do need to contact us for any reason, the best way to do that is brca.org/contact, and you will get straight to us. We can normally reply to tickets within the hour, but 100% we've got them answered and responded to by 24 hours. That's about it really. The ticket system's been running fine. Everyone that's got in touch with us has had an answer. This is going to be my last term doing this. As Help Desk Coordinator is going to be merged with the Membership Officer role. Now the next bit. Having taken the role of Acting Membership Officer, I would like to thank the incumbent officer for his work. Moving forward, I'll take this role so anyone who needs help will now be able to contact me either online, trackside, more so trackside once we're back to normality, if and when we get there. Same again is if you use the contact details on the website, it will come to me, or you can use the BRCA handbook contact. Or there's Mark c@brca.org. As membership officer, I'm pleased to say membership is only down about 6% this year, which I think is pretty good considering the year we've had. So a big thank you for all the members that signed up and supported us through this year. Sadly, while in this role, we've also seen some licenses suspended due to COVID and breach of guidelines we've put out. We put them out for a reason. It's to keep this sport going. I can't emphasise how important it is all members follow these guidelines. And I'd like to ask our membership, if you see something that's not right, don't take a picture, don't post it on social media. Just go up to the guy who's not got his mask on properly or is doing something he shouldn't be doing. Just politely say to him, look mate, please put your mask on, or whatever it is he's doing, and let's sort it out between ourselves. We all need to police each other and we all need to get on. We're all in this together, and if we all work together, the sport can continue and we can carry on doing the hobby we love. That's me done. You know how to get hold of me. Hopefully we'll see you in a better 2021 year of racing. Thank you.
Okay, thank you, Mark, for your report. Next is our Public Relations Officer, our PRO, Alan Layton. He sent a video in.
Hello and welcome to the Brca Agm. This is the Public Relations Officer's report and my name is Alan Layton. During the previous season and year, it's been difficult for all of us, but however we have managed to keep the association going, and we want to thank all the members, officers and the clubs for keeping our sport alive during these difficult times. My report is quite short due to having lockdown, but I am very, very thankful for those that have sent in information and asked me, myself as an officer, questions to help and support and keep our sport actually going. The main event that we had at the start of the year was the 12th World Championships that were hosted at Milton Keynes in January, and we'd like to thank all of those, especially the 1/12th section, for making the event possible and working with all the governing bodies to achieve a fabulous and amazing event. Also, the following month in February, we went to the MWA show at Peterborough, and again the 1/12th and 1/8th oval sections pulled off an amazing event, and it was very successful for everybody involved. So those were the two main events we had. Apart from that, my scheduled events for the rest of the year have been postponed rather than just cancelled, and we hope in 2021 we can reconvene with those organisers to promote what we do and what we are about. Going forward for next year, and hopefully we don't know at the moment what is in front of us and what we're going to be doing in the sense of how much racing we can actually create and what we're looking to do. All we can do at this moment is promote as best as we can, keep supporting your clubs, and hopefully where safe and where possible run by the rules that are constantly changing, because obviously we are governed by the government and trying to keep everything as safe as possible to keep our sport continuing. So from the PRO side of it, if you need any help or support, we are looking at making some changes to my role to be more involved with the members and promoting what they do and being more a supportive role, as well as trying to publicly raise awareness for what we do as an association. You can contact me either through the ticket system, or you can email me directly at pro.brca.org. And I just wish that you all keep safe, continue to promote and support what we enjoy and what we like doing in our spare time, and promote the BRCA as much as you already are doing to keep this hobby and interest going. Thank you for your time.
Okay, thank you, Alan, for your video and your report. Next up, we've got Safeguarding Officer, which Chris Jeffrey is going to read out.
Hi there, just a quick report from Mark Trinder, our Safeguarding Officer. He has reported there's nothing much that's gone on regarding safeguarding this year because of COVID-19 and everything is stopped. So therefore, at this point, there is nothing to report. Thank you.
Well, that was short and sweet. So next up, we've got the Scottish rep, Kenneth Rogers, who sent us a video in.
Hi, I'm Kenneth Rogers, the BRCA Scottish officer. Earlier this year, we managed to complete our GT12 regional series. Unfortunately, the well-established off-road regional series had to be cancelled due to coronavirus. Once restrictions were eased, a number of clubs have been able to hold outdoor meetings for both on and off-road classes. The meetings that have been able to run have been keenly attended. Another positive is that a new off-road track has been established with good local support to develop further in the future. We also have a small number of clubs managing to race indoors, but for the majority, there has been an issue with the halls used remaining closed. During the pandemic, I've been helping to link clubs in Scotland to the BRCA, providing support and implementing guidance in restarting racing in Scotland. I continue to liaise with the executive regarding devolved government guidance and alignment of this to the BRCA documentation. Looking to the future, we hope to be able to hold our on and off-road series next year and look forward to the possibility of a return to more normal circumstances and a return to regular club racing.
Okay, thank you, Kenneth, for your report. Okay, we move on to election of officers. Due to the current situation with COVID-19, officers have agreed to extend their term for another 12 months. Hopefully we'll be able to then deal with this in a more normal meeting environment next year. Our next direction. At this point of the meeting, the original plan was put together over 6 months ago, was to do this great big nice fancy presentation of the next evolution of the association. As you will have seen, for the last 5 years or so, we've been working on the one association. This was, in short, a movement to get everything from all the sections in one place and working in a similar way. While there's still a little finishing to do, this is about done. So the next evolution, this was going to be club-centric, and we started on ways we could better support the clubs. And you will have seen this with the club loan scheme that we opened up earlier on in the year. However, with no sign of this pandemic easing, our focus for the next 12 months is survival. And that's not just survival of the clubs. The association is in there too. Jim, could you add to this and how you think the association is going to be affected during this time?
Yes, I think the important bit really now is the sport pulling together. So we've all supported each other over the last 6 months or so. And as I alluded to earlier, it's now down to the members, if you like, to support the association so we can continue to support the members and the clubs. And then I think it's going to be really how we manage to restart the bits of our sport that haven't been able to race for, in some areas, it could be up to 12 months. Indoor racing in particular has really, really struggled. And Alan mentioned a few minutes ago, his role may change. So rather than us going out and doing the big events and trying to promote the sport to the masses, it may well be more appropriate for us to pitch in with clubs and help to relaunch sport locally where appropriate. But certainly it's going to change. But one thing is for definite, with the people we've got and the members we've got and the support we've got, if we all work together, we can get our sport back up and running and where it should be. Thank you.
Thank you, Jim. Okay, section reports. We've got 12th Circuit report has been sent in by Pete Winton, and Jim is going to deliver that for us.
Right, excuse me, I'll try and put this into Pete Winton's phrases. We ran the hugely successful IFMAR 1/12 Worlds at Milton Keynes in January. The entry was full and the feedback was stunning. Everything went according to plan as far as the visitors were concerned, and that was made possible by a huge team of BRCA volunteers who were just fantastic. Huge kudos all round. Thanks to everyone who helped us. And I'm just going to add from me into that little bit. That is an underestimate. I mean, the people that pulled together, not just from 12th Circuit section, right across the association, the work and effort everybody put in to make that event happen was absolutely astonishing. And in the list of the very best world championships that have been held in our sport, that event is going to be right at the pointed end. It's going to be remembered by everybody who attended it for a very long time. It was absolutely top draw. Right, back to Beat. We managed to run 4 of our planned 6 LMP 12 nationals for 2019-20 and then got caught up with the pandemic and the national lockdown. 4 events, all went really well, and thanks to the clubs who organised them. 4 events was enough to count. GT12 ran 3 of their planned 2-day events, so that was 6 scoring meetings. That was enough to account. So when the lockdown hit, we could manage to declare a result. Good turnout, great organisation by the clubs and close racing. The winners were LMP Open Modified, Ollie Jeffries, LMP Sports Modified, David Spichette, LMP Stock 13.5, Ollie Jeffries, LMP Stock 17.5, Marcus Askell, GT12, Andy Murray, GT12 Junior Champion, Daniel Robbins, and GT12 Senior Champion Mark Jewett. There has been no national racing since early 2020 when we finished off the last season, and we decided in July not to organise a national championship for 2020 through into early 2021. So far this has proved to be the right decision, as the current situation is worse than it was in July. We didn't hold a section AGM at the end of last season, nor have we had one since, as there's no rules updates to approve in any case. There is a regional series running in the Midlands during the later part of this year, and other regions have tried to start a regional series but haven't quite got it off the ground yet, as access to venues is so difficult. The venues are trying to cope with what they need to do, schools and colleges, or not prepared to take on the perceived risk of allowing people to meet indoors, and that's a theme we're seeing around the country. Indoors is difficult in some places. But there is an independent LMP series being run over the winter months, 5 rounds, and we're all going to go out there and support that if we can. We hope to return to a full national schedule in 2021, 2022, and there may be an event towards the springtime if we manage to get out of this COVID situation. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Jim. Thank you, the 112th section, and Pete for your section report. Next is 12th Oval, which has been sent in by Emma Parker, and Chris is going to deliver that report for us.
Hi there, a short report from the 12th Oval section. We were having a great start to the year. January saw us crown a new European and Junior European champion. February saw a fantastic weekend's racing at the Motorsport with Attitude show. We ran 3 nationals out of our 7, and then COVID hit and stopped us. So we had a good few quiet months with no racing. Since we've been allowed to start racing again, there's a few clubs running, all with good COVID procedures in place. I found a hall and got our national track out to get some race meetings running too. So all in all, we've had a quiet year. There is no new gold or silver roofs or English champion this year. We decided to keep the same as last year and then roll over to 2021. Financially, we ended the year about the same as what we started, and just a few boxes of trophies stored in my spare room to sort out. Fingers crossed, next year is going to be better than 2020. And that's all from Emma, thank you.
Thank you to the 112 stock car section for your report, and Emma. Next, we've got a video from the 1/10th electric circuit section and Gavin Clinch.
Hi, I'm Gavin Clinch from the 1/10th electric on-road section. This year we filled out our national and clubman's allocation fairly quickly. Then with the onset of COVID, we've unfortunately had to cancel the series. Due to the generosity of our racers that didn't ask for their entry fee back, we gave over £8,000 back to the various clubs that were spread among them between those that were going to hold meetings. That's pretty much it for what we've done as a committee this year. There has been some on-road racing in various different places going on, organised by people from the north and the south. We've had some meetings going. And next year we hope to be able to complete our national series, carrying over all of our rules and meetings, etc. from 2020, subject to restrictions being lifted to allow us to do that. We have a contingency if not, and obviously we'll work on that later on in the day. Thanks.
Okay, thank you very much, Gavin, and the 1/10th electric circuit section for your report. We've got 1/10th IC circuit now, a written report from Bob Harley, which I'm going to deliver for you. My best Bob Harley voice, one of our oldest members of the BRCA. I'll just add that there. Okay, as the section was unable to run a national series this year due to COVID-19, it was decided to carry the 2020 rulebook over to the end of 2021. The only thing needed was to put a new calendar together for 2021 and hope that we will be able to run it. This year, after we've had the green light to run any kind of meeting, it was decided to hold our 4 meetings, which we called the British Open meetings, which were very well attended and gave clubs a very good income to help pay their bills, although they had been shut for a very long time. Bob Harley, 1/12th IC Chairman. Thank you, Bob, for your short report. Next, we've got a report, a very extensive report from 1/10th Off-Road, sent in by Excel from Paul Worsley, and Jim is going to deliver that for us.
Okay. Right. Hello all. There is no doubt that 2020 will be a year to remember, but not for particularly good reasons. Due to the ongoing issues with COVID-19 during the year, the section organised racing for 1/10 off-road has effectively been zero. It became apparent to myself and our section committee in early March that our usual national and regional events would be affected in a large way, even though entries were already being submitted in large numbers. When the BRCA followed the actions of Motorsport UK to cancel all events for the first few months of the season, it became obvious that to organise a meaningful national championship or regional championships would not be possible. Postponing allocated events dates was not really viable, as we have such a busy calendar in our section. We therefore made an early decision to cancel all national and regional events that had been organised for 2020. The 1/10 Off-Road Committee were unanimous in this decision, and I thank all the committee for their support in making these very difficult decisions in a quick time. Myself and our Treasurer, Jackie Rowcliffe, worked quickly on this decision, and all members that had been submitted national entries were informed that 2020 national racing had been suspended within 2 days. The process of refunding all the entry fees then started, and all national entries were refunded by 3rd of April. My sincere thanks to Jackie for her work to achieve this in such a short time. As part of the above procedures, we also made the relatively early decision that all 2020 events and driver qualifications would be carried over to 2021. Therefore, all clubs that were allocated a national or end of season event would be awarded the same event in 2021, with dates to be confirmed. The 10 regions would also follow a similar procedure for all the regional series events. Our section also awards licence grades based on national and regional championships results for the following year. With none of these events taking place, the licence grades from 2020 will also be carried over to 2021. So effectively 2020 did not happen for 1/10 off-road section, but the basis of what will be organised for 2021 is already in place, subject to any ongoing COVID-19 restrictions allowing sporting events to continue. My thanks to all our committee members for their support in making these difficult decisions. Whilst we effectively already have the 2021 events decided by virtue of carrying over the 2020 events, we will need to consider and plan for any restrictions that may still be existing next year. This could mean lower numbers than our usual 120 entries being allowed at national events and how we allocate entries. This scenario will be discussed in the coming weeks. It is likely that entry opening date to any 2021 events will be delayed to allow a better understanding of what could be allowed. The section also had an Efra European Championship event to be hosted at Robin Hood Raceway in 2020. For similar reasons, all Efra events were cancelled this year, and this event will be delayed until 2021. From early June, when sport was allowed to resume in some restricted format, many clubs started allowing practice sessions for small groups. This proved very popular, with many clubs receiving bookings for days in advance. At least it allowed our members to get some track time and enjoy what they normally do. Later in the summer, many clubs started organising club events with numbers restricted to accommodate the rules that are needed. So, a very strange year, and not for good reasons. For the first time since the early 80s, we have no national champions, no regional champions and no European champions in the section. But at least clubs have been able to organise smaller events to keep the interest of our members. We can only hope that 2021 will allow us to conduct the sport that we all enjoy so much in a reasonably normal manner. Paul Worsley, 1/10 Off-Road Section Chairman.
Thank you very much, Paul, for your very extremely detailed report of what's been going on in the 10th Off-Road section. Next, we have a video from the 1/10 Off-Road Trucks from Mark Ashford.
Mark Ashforth, Chairman of the 1/10 Off-Road Truck Section. This year was going to be our first year under the BRCA, which got took short by the COVID. We've provisionally booked meetings for next year, waiting to see what the situation is for 2021. Stadium trucks have taken off a little bit more over some of the recent club meetings around the Midlands. Hopefully they will join us at the Nationals next year. Schumacher have just brought out a nice new truck. Hopefully we'll see you all again in 2021.
Thank you very much, Mark, and your report from the 1/10 Off-Road Trucks. Next, we have a report from 8th Circuit on video from Andy Mollett.
Hi, my name is Andrew Mollett and the now Vice Chairman of the 1/8 section on road. As with others, this year has been very hard, but as a section, we have been able to run a 5-race series for existing and new drivers. A series is run at Halifax in the north, Ada and Brookland in the south, Menip in the southwest and Cotswolds in the middle. For each of these meetings, we've introduced a first-come, first-served booking-in system, with each meeting being fully booked from opening and with a reserve list. So thank you to everyone who has entered, and a big thank you goes to each track for accommodating all of our drivers. As in previous years, after the season has finished, we have, as a section, donated our profit that section have made back to the tracks we have used. But this year we decided to increase the drivers' fees to the tracks to help them over this difficult year. Therefore, we have been able to give the tracks approximately £1,000 overall on top of what they would normally receive. With this year's Open IC Championship, we had a new winner with Alex Thurston, Tim Wood in second and Mark Green third. In addition to the Open, we've also run, as in previous years, an F Series to run alongside the main championship, which gives those of a lower ranking something else to run for. F2 was run by James Connolly, second Matthew Drambreen and third Noel Cochrane. F3 was Steve Smith in first, Bjorn Baldwin in second and G Williams in third, and lastly F4 with Barry Abbott in first, Jack Brand in second and Mike Manning in third. In the electric class we have a new championship winner with Michael Lee, second place Billy Fletcher and third place Mikey Mansell. In addition to the normal awards presented at the meeting, we've also had 2 additional awards we present. The section award this year went to our PR team who kept their drivers up to date on what the section was hoping to do, so well done to Lee and Michael. And lastly, the Ted Longshore Award. This year this award was presented to John Russell, who managed to put together a race series for all to attend. But next year we are looking at running an 8-race series, running roughly in the same format we've had to run this year, but hopefully with not the same restrictions. So once again, many thanks to all who have attended this year's racing and hope to see you all next year.
Thank you very much, Andrew, and the 1/8 circuit section for your report. Next we have 8th stock cars, a written report by Steve Waring, and Chris is going to deliver that for us.
Okay, the report from 8 stock cars. All 5 stock car clubs have been successfully running club meetings since the COVID restrictions were lifted, and they don't seem to have any operational issues that have caused any problems. The section would like to thank all officials and the 5 affiliated clubs for their considerable efforts in keeping the meetings running for all our enjoyment during these difficult times, whilst maintaining the BRCA COVID safe guidelines. Well done, and let's hope next year we can be back to normal. The section officers all agreed that they will not run any national or major meetings this year and plan to run in 2021. And the race meeting fixtures from this year if the COVID situations allow. A big thumbs up to the Ador 8th Stock Car Club and Ricky Slater and the team that wanted to do something special to mark the end of a very difficult year. So they put in a very big effort and organised a unique King of the South race meeting on the 18th of October. The format was quite different to normal and the event turned out great and a popular success. The drivers who made the trip to the South Coast venue had plenty of finals and quality prizes up for grabs. Drivers registered for the 8th stock cars increased by 21 this year compared to 2019, and the section finances remain in a healthy state, which allow all the affiliated clubs to receive £300 to help running costs during the season, where normal income has been reduced. Thank you very much for Steve.
Okay, that was the 8th stock car report from Steve Waring, delivered by Chris. Next we have 8th Rallycross from Kevin Griffiths. Now, oh no, Griffin. I always say Griffiths. It's Griffin. He always pulls me up on that. Kevin sent us a report. And for those that know Kevin, will know that this sums it up really well. And I'm going to try and say it how Kevin would say it. This year didn't go to plan. He then went on to say, next year we have a new plan. Probably the best report that we've been sent in. Thank you very much, Kevin, from the 8th Rallycross. We've now got 8th Chuggy and E-Buggy from Matt Bridge. Chris Jeffries is going to deliver that one for us.
So, a report from Matt Bridge. Like all other sections, our season didn't get started as planned, but we did manage to run a 3-round mini-series where we went to the smaller up-and-coming clubs to give them a boost. This series was well attended and was enjoyed by the vast majority of drivers. I would like to thank all clubs that helped throughout the year. They did a great job preparing their tracks in these difficult times. We hope to see you all for a full series in 2021. Thank you very much from Matt Bridge for that one.
Thank you very much for the Truggy NE Buggy report. Next, we've got large scale off-road, a written report from Dane Whittleson. I'll be delivering that one. Our 2020 season started off with the section finding out shortly after last year's BRCA AGM that the venue we had found in 2018 and used for our 2019 Zenoa Challenge Cup meeting, the section's annual indoor season opener, had gone into administration. With a slight chance of our 2020 still going ahead, we remained in contact with the centre until early January when we had to make the formal announcement that this event was off. For those of you that, a note from myself, for those of you who have never done that or been to one of the Zenoa Challenge Cups, absolutely fantastic event. I took part one year, it was amazing. Right, next back to the report. February also saw the section lose out February also saw the section lose one of its fun with a capital F racers. I can't pronounce this. Icubal, I'll print it, apologies for that, who tragically died unexpectedly following a gym session. In the same month, we also got the news that Carl Potter, our section's treasurer and vice chairman's very helpful and willing father-in-law, had finally come to his terminal illness. The section will remember both fondly for their support and willingness to help. You will also have already heard from Darren about him stepping down, that's Darren W, about stepping down from the section to undertake his timekeeping duties for the association. The section wishes him well and thanks him for his dedication he has put in since joining the sport in 2005, and we are sure that the section will continue to grow upon the foundations placed by Darren W and his predecessors. The section hopes to still see Darren W around and be part of our large-scale family and also our Efra representative. Like other sections, our national calendar has been affected by the COVID pandemic, with our first meeting scheduled just days into the lockdown in March. Whilst initially it was thought that we could run a mini-series, once racing was allowed, the section decided instead to encourage our large-scale racers this season to spend more time at their local clubs, so the mini-series was replaced with the section making a financial contribution to all of the 2020 national venues in lieu of their cantonal nationals, which we believe helps to guarantee their future. We're in the final stages of sorting out the 2021 calendar, which fingers crossed will be able to run without any issues within the current associations and national guidelines. Finally, to the 2019 championship winners, don't worry, we have your trophies. And to our many LSOR attendees, the section looks forward to welcoming you all to round one of the 2021 championship in March, where we will hold the presentation for the 2019 championship winners. Thank you very much for large scale for your report. We've next got the bike section from Roy Davis. Jim will be reading that one out for us.
This year has been very difficult for everyone. It has affected our racing, with several events being cancelled during the season. The bike committee made the decision before the first cancelled event that we could contribute a percentage of our track fees direct to the club from the section account. While this obviously had a negative effect on our funds, reducing our account by approximately £1,000, we felt that support for our clubs was essential. We were eventually able to reschedule some events when racing started again, completing 4 of our 7 planned events. Even though numbers were less than expected due to the effects of the pandemic, our 1/5 scale on-road was well supported, but we had 1/8 and sidecars represented during the year. We are also pleased to see that some club racing is taking place and welcome the efforts of Crystal Palace in particular for the inclusion of bike racing in their club calendar, and hope to support them and Cotswolds over the winter months. As our racing season is now over, we look forward to the new year and are hopeful of being in a position to organise a full schedule of events for 2021. Thank you.
Thank you to the bike section for your report and Roy Davis. We've now got an Efra update, which will be presented by Jim.
Efra this year essentially didn't really happen. We had the 1/12 scale European Championships in March, which ran successfully. Good race meeting. Everybody thoroughly enjoyed themselves. But beyond that, the season effectively got cancelled. Efra's plans are to move the entire 2020 calendar to 2021 on block and just sort out any difficulties with the odd event that throws up. And certainly so far, there's 1 or 2 meetings earlier in the year that are certainly going to change. And the IFMAR World Championship event scheduled to take place in Holland, that will certainly be that will change too. Beyond that, we don't really know at the minute, as the Efra annual general meeting takes place in 2 weeks. As we get news from that, we will obviously let all the people looking at doing international racing know. The major problem at the minute is that there is a proposal into the Brca Agm that is in conflict with the association's procedures and insurance. In short, that we are insured properly to conduct our sport in the UK, and Efra is concerned that it isn't. And what that could do is make our membership of Efra impossible, or certainly extremely difficult. Hopefully there's movement afoot to correct that, and we're advising Efra on what we think they can do, and we will take advice off our insurance people and probably legal advice about what we can do to make it work between us. But certainly it's an unexpected development, but as we know more, we'll let you guys know as soon as we know. Thank you.
Thank you, Jim. Okay, so proposals. This is the bit where we get interactive and we find out if this is going to work. So 2020, slightly different as we're streaming the meeting live. So you're sat at home watching us, and there's just the 3 of us here sat looking at a camera. We've published the links on the BRCA website. If you go to www.brca.org/AGM and click on the proposal tab. These links will go live as we get to them in the agenda. Don't click them now. We will then set a time limit of 5 minutes for voting, and we'll then deal with the results afterwards. For 2020, we will use the number of votes cast as the number of people in the room. Each proposal will get a 5 minutes for voting, and each proposal has been pre-seconded by a BRCA member. So we did send an email out asking for seconders of these to ensure that we would deal with them today, and that has happened. Before we get to the voting, you have to log in to the BRCA, your BRCA account. So this is only available for logged in members. So go ahead, log in now. If you see an error or blank screen on the voting page, you haven't logged in. Okay, so I'm going to say that again. If you see an error or a blank screen on the voting page, you haven't logged in. To remind everyone, for a proposal to change, it requires a 2/3 majority of votes cast. Okay, so proposal number 1. This is been sent in by Matt Bridge. It's general rule, paragraph 4. So these have been published. Hopefully you've got a printed out copy in front of you. These have been published on the BRCA website. The current wording says the BRCA will not approve any lithium battery for use at a BRCA sanctioned events that exceeds the energy capacity allowed on a passenger airline travel, which is 100 watt hours. So it says 100 watt hours. The proposed changed wording is the BRCA will not approve any lithium battery for use that exceeds the energy capacity, and it says 158 watt hours. So this is a proposal to increase the 100 watt hour rule to 158 watt hours. Okay, let's open the voting. Let's start the timer, and we're going to stream a short video of one of the World Championship races at Centre MK.
Second on the grid,
Yannick Isawa.
Yannick Isawa. Third, Ollie Jeffries. Fourth, Mark Reinhard. Fifth, Ollie Payne. Sixth, Alexander Hagberg. Seventh, Hayato Ishioka. Eighth, Jorn Neumann. Ninth, Marcus Hellquist. And 10th is Toshinobu Yanagisawa.
Yanagisawa. When I was coming this morning, I saw them practicing. I was like, I've got to remember that one. Yanagisawa. I hope that's still right. Or maybe I'm still saying it wrong, but I was like, I've got to get that one right. Otherwise,
we're saying it right because there's obviously 2 Yanagisawas in this one. Here we go,
Okay,
it's
here
10
we go.
seconds then.
So Olowski, Yoshi, Jeffries, top 3.
So away we go for this A final modified leg number 1, led off by Michael Olowski.
Yeah, cracking start. Little bit of a gap behind him.
Brilliant start there from the rest of the guys.
Nice and clean. Oh, there's a mistake for
big
car
mistake.
3. That's Ollie Jeffries.
Yeah. So Yoshi through with second, and he's got no pressure now from Ollie Jeffries, so it's Mark Reinhard we'll keep an eye on, but all the eyes on the leaders down the straight they go.
Absolutely. Superb pace from the front runners at the minute. Olowski from Yoshi Yagasawa.
So they're first and second. Just keep creeping into shot. As you can see, the old white car is Mark Reinhard. You can see running in third. You can never write him off. So the leaders coming through now. Very little in it. 11.9 for Olowski, 11.8 for Yoshi last time through.
Gap's 0.3 of a second, so it's pretty close. Very nice.
Car
Traffic
10's
getting
got
that way.
an issue getting well out of the way there, so Olowski still leading Yoshi. Yoshi certainly got a fast car and he got a nice front end on that car, as you can see, hooking into the corners. All the pressure being applied to Olowski.
He's no stranger to it though, is he? No stranger to it.
And look at this. As we were saying a few seconds ago, the white car coming into shot is Mark Reinhard, so we'll keep an eye on the first two. And you see Reinhard, the white car there in third, not too far behind. A minute and a half down into this race.
Traffic in LG, nicely stayed out of the way, that's all right.
So that's Hagberg, I think, just having a problem there getting out of the way. So Olowski from Yoshi, from Reinhard. So through the centre of the track they come. Oh, yellow car is Michael Olowski.
Superb speed. Nice and tidy. Oh, there's a little clip for Olowski. Made a mistake. He's at least down to third, fourth now.
So Yoshi to the point.
Oh, look at that. So
and Reinhard just behind the white car, and if you keep an eye on, just drop that one.
You've
got
Ollie
Reinhard
Payne.
the white car. You got Ollie Payne, the red and white machine behind him in third. So those three are through now. Keep an eye on those guys as we go with the camera.
So we'll keep an eye on Olowski, and we've got our front runners at the minute. 1, 2 and 3. It's Yoshi, Mark Reinhard, Ollie Payne.
So 11.8 last time through for Yoshi and for Reinhard. Ollie Payne 2 tenths quicker on 11.6, so it's a 3-car race at the sharp end of this one. Cars 2, 4 and 5. I remember still only approaching the 3-minute marker, so over 5 minutes to go of this. So I'm predicting there's going to be some more action as yet, as we've seen in other finals.
Anything can happen, absolutely.
Reinhard getting very racy, right up now behind Yoshi, down the straight, and he touches a pipe, and that's enough to bring Ollie Payne right in on it as well. So we keep an eye on these on the camera. All eyes on the sharp end of this A final modified. Mark Reinhard in a sandwich there. And he's got to watch his mirrors from Ollie Payne, but he's trying to get away from Ollie. He wants to get the hammer down and catch Yoshi for the lead of this A final.
Still not even half race distance yet. Yet there's only maybe not even a second between the top 3 at this stage.
Reinhard last time through 11.5, took 3 tenths out of Yoshi. And Ollie Payne going with him, as we can see. So very little in it.
Okay, so 30 seconds to go before we close the voting on proposal number 1. I'm sorry to ruin your enjoyment of that most excellent footage from the 1/12 World Championship at Milton Keynes. We've got 5 seconds to go. Just here's our timer as we go along. Okay, that's it. Voting has closed. That's our 5 minutes done on AGM proposal number 1. So, next up, proposal number 2. Let me just scroll down to the right place. Proposal number 2. This one has been sent in by Chris Oxley. The current wording of the rule is all lithium-based drive batteries used in all sections must have a hard protective case that completely envelopes the cells. The proposed change of this wording is all lithium-based drive batteries over 20 watt-hours used in all sections must have a hard protective case that completely envelopes the cells. So this has come in, I'm just reading the notes here. It says, amend the drive battery wording to enable cost-effective micro racing. So basically what these guys want to do is use batteries under 20 watt-hours in their cars, which are soft case, so they're very small batteries, because some micro cars are not compatible or they can't fit hard case batteries. So I'll just repeat that. The current wording is all lithium-based drive batteries used in all sections must have a hard protective case that completely envelopes the cells. And the change of wording is all lithium-based drive batteries over 20 watt-hours used in all sections must have a hard protective case that completely envelopes the cells. Okay, so we will open the voting now. You've got 5 minutes to make your vote on proposal number 2. We'll cut back to the video and then we'll deal with the results of both proposals. Let's go to video.
As you just called, not even half race distance mistake from Reinhard. Taps out, so Ollie Payne now with the red and white car. He's up to second. Can he do anything about Yoshi's lead? So we'll keep an eye on that one. That's Ollie Payne on camera, the white and red car with the all-white car of Mark Reinhard right behind him in third.
Just under a second gap between first and second. It's 0.9, but it's only 0.3 back to Mark Reinhard.
And these two look like they're pushing themselves round up to Yoshi. They are. They took 3/10 out of Yoshi on the last lap alone. So we can keep an eye on that gap. And just over half race distance. So as we said, lots can still change.
Yeah, they're reeling him in, you know. It was 0.9 last time around. It's 0.7 this time around. So a couple of tenths for second and third. Catching. So I'm currently watching our leaders. Yoshi, followed by Ollie Payne, followed by Mark Reinhard, 1, 2 and 3.
And those three, we'll keep an eye on it. There's a 3-second gap back then off camera to Ollie Jeffries and Michael Orlowski further back. So those two got a lot to do. I think they might be out running in this leg number 1. So down the straight, Yoshi goes with Ollie Payne in hot pursuit, 7/10 for a second the gap. So 11.8 for Yoshi, 11.7 for Ollie Payne, 11.9 for Reinhard. So Payne starting to drop Reinhard, and he's getting on with it to catch Yoshi for the lead of this A final. Still 3 minutes remaining of this. Ollie Payne, what a drive this is, from 5th on the grid all the way up to 2nd and closing in. Another, well, pretty much same lap last time through.
Yeah, the gap's pretty steady at 0.6 at the minute. He's not really gathering. No, actually it's gone down 0.4 of a second between first and second now, so he is still reeling him in. Still plenty of time left, still got well almost 3 minutes left to go.
Yes, they'll be encountering traffic in the next couple of laps.
That may play a factor. We've seen it before, even though the referees are telling him to get out of the way. I think he's a little bit cleaner in the A final, but it could cause a bit of drama.
So the gap's pretty much stabilised at 8/10 at the moment from what we can see from Yoshi to Ollie Payne. And Reinhard not too far behind, another 8/10 back.
Okay, so he's our leader, hitting traffic around about now.
Oh, literally hitting the traffic.
Oh, that does spice things up a little bit. So the gap was a second. This time around, it's 0.2 of a second. So I think it's race on. 2 minutes to go.
Absolutely getting the hammer down, really going at it now.
So Yoshi Yanagasawa in first place, Ollie Payne second, Mark Reinhard third. A little bit further back is Mark, but he is coming back.
Reinhard certainly still not out of it yet. A minute and a half to go. So first, second and third pretty much in the same shot as we still see them.
Absolute superb racing. We've got less than a minute and a half to go now with this one, but anything can happen as we've already seen.
11.7s, 11.8s from the top 3 in this one.
Hopefully traffic doesn't play a problem. The next set of cars are quite a bit away at this stage. I don't think they'll catch him before the end of the race.
They won't catch him. Look at Reinhard clutching Ollie Payne there.
Yanagasawa pulling out a bit of a lead,
second
or Ollie Payne dropping back.
Keep an eye on those cars. The white and red car, that's the one with the all-white car. Right behind him on your camera shot now. Still over a minute to go. Reinhard applying all the pressure he can to Ollie Payne and some more. Down the straight they go. They've got 1 minute at this speed still to go. It's giving a bit of a break to Yoshi. So Reinhard.
He's turning the heat up, isn't he?
Yeah, he's making
Ollie Payne
on his way for this.
Nose up the inside.
Remember, Reinhard got loads of experience at this level of racing. Not sure if that's playing any part of it to Ollie Payne. The pressure's on, the heartbeat's obviously going.
Superb bit of
Reinhardt
racing.
thinking about it. 40
Yeah.
seconds to run. Looks like Yoshi's got the break he needed in this one. It's all on for second and third. Reinhardt all over the back of Ollie Payne in the closing 30 seconds to go. Onto the straight. Nothing in it, as you can see. You don't need us to give you the gap.
It's just about
Ollie
1/10.
Payne sideways. Reinhardt
yes, and he's through.
What a manoeuvre. So Reinhardt up to the 2 spot. Ollie Payne third.
Superb little move. A little bit of argy-bargy, but I think that was all fair there.
Yeah.
I can't see the ref saying anything about
Yeah,
that
the
one.
6 and 2 3s is the save for that one.
And to be fair, I think he hasn't got much time left. We're going to move forward to the leader.
So move forward to
The
the
gap
leader.
was 1.3 seconds between first and second. This time it's 1.2, so I think Mark Reynard might have had enough juice to try and catch him, but
Reinhardt
he hasn't got the
slowed
time.
him. Yeah, the time's against him, so
Yeah.
bring it round to the line. This will be the final lap.
So,
yeah, what a race.
Okay, that's the end of that race, and we're back with just 10 seconds of voting left. 4, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. That is the end of voting for proposal number 2. So for those of you that are wondering why we didn't deal with the results straight after doing number 1, it's quite simple. There is a little teeny weeny bit of a lag between me speaking to you here and you receiving it at the other end. I'm sure there's a technical term for it. We just know that there's a little bit of a delay. So for the proposals to be counted, adjudicated, sent across into my ear from mission control, we need to sort of pad a little bit for time so that this can come across. I do have the results in for proposal number 1. This was the watt-hour proposal. As I said at the beginning, it's a 2/3 majority. Now I have an Excel spreadsheet here. Paul Worsley would be proud of me. We had 27 votes. Against, we had 15 votes, which means that the total that we're working from is 42. The 2/3 cut-off for that is 27.7, so we round that up to 28 votes for a pass. Unfortunately, this one failed because it only got 27 votes. So this was one vote short of passing. So let me just write in here, proposal number 1 has failed. Right, proposal number 2. Yes, I was just passed a piece of paper with it on. I'm only joking about mission control. I've just been sent the information across. This one was, there was a few more people voted about this one. I'm just going to put it into my extensive Excel spreadsheet. He says, and just typically, you know, when you want everything to go right, I've now got to open it back up again. So we have 4 for it, 39, against 9. So I can see that it has passed, but I'm going to put the figures in so I can give the exact split. So 4 is 39, against is 9, gives us a total of 48. The cut-off was 31.6, so that would be 32 votes as a 4 for it to pass. So proposal number 2, which is the soft case, that has passed. Well done everybody for taking part in our first interactive odd line vote. As always, if you'd like to give us some feedback, please send it in through the ticket system. Don't use Facebook to do it. We either won't get it or it'll just get lost in translation. Positive and negative feedback, we welcome it all to make it better for if we have to do this again. Okay, next up, AOB. I haven't got any topics for AOB. I've not been sent any topics for AOB. Jim, have you been sent any topics for AOB?
No, I haven't.
Chris, any topics for AOB?
No.
No, that was an easy one. Next, we've got time and date of the next meeting. We've penciled in the 31st of October 2021, which is the same weekend as what the AGM has been held on for as long as I can ever remember. And that's it. That draws the end to our meeting. I'd like to thank you all for tuning in. All of the sections and officials who got their reports in a different format. It's been a very different year doing it this year. I'd like to thank Jim and Chris for being here for support. And that's it. Thank you very much. I'll see you all trackside, hopefully.